So hi everyone, and thanks for the introduction. I'm Florian from Mo-Sys, and at Mo-Sys we're doing technology of what we call virtual production. So today we'll talk about virtual production and how we think it's the future of not just film broadcast, but content creation in general for media technology. So first of all, for us, real-time virtual production is not just LED volumes, as you think. It could be a smaller LED. It could be green screen. For us, For us, virtual production is real-time visual effects, as in you don't do it in post-production, but you see your effect in real time through the camera. That's what it is. But virtual production is not something new. I mean, it's been around for a long time with green screen, many years. And with LED as well, it's not new either, as in 2013, at Mo-Sys, we were already doing LED virtual production on the movie of Gravity, but it was with very expensive and complex robotics, and we will see how we evolve from that. But that's quite interesting because, as we can see here, it's 2013, the first use of real-time LED wall for reflection on the actors on Gravity. That was not for in-camera VFX, as in having a background. It was just to have the reflection on the visor of the astronauts, of the actors, and then everything done in post-production. So we were far from real-time VFX, but that was the first use. You can see how complex is the system, actually, with our robots at the end. And then everything became much simpler with what we call the Star Tracker. So the Star Tracker is our technology for real-time camera tracking in any space. And it's much easier to set up, you will see, than these massive robotic arms. Star Trackers is also not something new. The first prototype was 1997, as you can see here. It was quite big and chunky, but that was the first proof of concept of the technology. And then 2015, we released the first version. But now it looks like that. You see, it's really small and compact, and it can fit in your pockets. And it's really changing the way of doing virtual production. How does it work? So it's very simple, actually. You put stickers on the ceiling, and these stickers, we call them star, hence the name Star Tracker. And thanks to that, you know precisely where the camera is in the space at all time, which means when I move my camera, the 3D background will move, and it will feel like I'm filming the real world. It's that simple. So here is an example. You see a studio, there's stickers on the ceiling, these stars, they can be any height, any level, etc. And then you will see it's mounted on the camera, the tracking itself. Here it is. And now, thanks to that, in real time, when we move our camera, the parallax change. And it can be handheld, it can be on tripod or anything. That's a big volume. It's like really for film or for broadcast. But it does not need to be a massive LED wall, actually. I mean, this kind of wall are okay to do productions. And what we can do is really interesting, what we call set extension, as in we extend the LED wall to give the illusion that the space is much bigger. So it's becoming really interesting for stuff like podcasts or videos, any videos online or more corporate environment, right? In fact, that's an office space. But you see now we have the set extension on the side. And actually this video is already quite old because it looks even more and more realistic now. And that's all real time. So that's quite interesting because now you can think, okay, from a small office space, I can have the same width as a big LED volume, and I can run my podcast and my videos. Virtual production is not just LED, it's also green screen in real time. That was the previous tracking, but you see, the director can see that in real time. So why not combine both? First, we're a big advocate of using the technology that is right for the shot, especially in film, in broadcast, but also in communication and content creation. So we wanted to prove that using a small LED wall, that's a really small LED wall when you compare to volumes, in combination with green screen in an office space can have amazing results. So that's what we did. We use the green screen at what it's the best at, as in, for example, when you have a floor, it's great to use green screen because you will have all the shadows and you don't need to bring set builders and then you have to rebuild a complete set, which is cost-effective and takes a lot of time. So it's great to have green screen for that. And then LED is really good at everything that is close-up and mid-shots when you have with green screen, you will have green reflection. With LED, you have scene reflection, which is completely different. So they really excel in both the domain, but if you combine them, it can become really interesting. So we combined them with a small LED wall for close-up mid-shot and a green screen for the wider shots. So here are some examples. So it shows you what the LED is good at, right? I mean, that's a nice scene, a night scene, with reflection on the glass, on the watch. Doing that with green will be tricky. Another example here, the foreground is out of focus, and it will be trickier as well to do that with green screen in real time. And this guy has a really thin white hair, which is hard to key as well. So LED is great for that. And then in real time, that's with the green screen. You see here, we see the floor. Recreating that as a real set will take a lot of time and effort, and it's doable for a big production. But if you're not a big production, why not use green? So again, using both in the same time. And that's what you see in previews through the camera in real time with the green screen. And it's even better after where we re-render it. So some achievements from that. That was a 55-minute pilot film in an office space. Really, the ceiling is the same as that, and the height of the ceiling as well. 7 virtual locations in New York. Of course, all filmed from our office in London, but all the locations are virtual, right? And we did 500 shots, actually, more than 402 here, and a crew of 9, not 11. But it's quite impressive numbers for such production, only in 2 weeks, and the crew never used virtual production before. But we're always about like pushing the envelope and trying new technologies, and now there are ways to also capture the real world very quickly. As in, what my colleague is doing now is enough to capture the world. So it's much quicker than what used to be photogrammetry. It's still very useful, but this is called Gaussian splatting. Weird name, I know, but that's how it is. And then once you captured it, you can then play it again in a studio. So that was green screen, real time, you will see. And we capture this environment in 10 minutes, and we processed it in less than an hour. And we were here in the studio filming it. That was at the premises of the first, the first paper on Gaussian splatting, because we're always about at Mo-Sys trying new things. So you can see the floor is not great, there's little artifacts all around. But then we really wanted to push it. And 1 year later, we worked with companies like Volinga, for example, developing software for that. And we worked together. That's HDR color, all captured from the real world in Gaussian splats. So that's how we captured it. So you can see a phone and a gimbal, and that's enough to capture. I'm saying to capture because then you can film in studio with your camera or your lens that you want to use, but you being creative with the lens and the camera in the studio. On the capture phase, you don't really care on the way you capture it. And you see, we put it in Unreal, in our plugin. And then here you can see the behind the scene. And that's what the studio looks like again. You can see the ceiling. It's really an office space. I'm not lying. Here is the result. Let's have a look at the advert. I think it's a good example. Because that's an advert, so we captured the locations in a day. I think there was 5 different locations. And we shot that in half a day. It's really changing things, right? I mean, like, it's really efficient as well, and makes it easier if you don't have always 3D artists, or depending on the production, you don't always have some. So capturing the real world could be really interesting. And see the colors is proper HDR pipeline as well. And we will see at the end, the last scene is not captured from the real world, but it's a scene from Unreal by a 3D artist, because you will see the complexity of the scene. So it's great to combine different type of scenes, different type of methods. So I'm talking about this scene. This is fully virtual, as in it's been done by a 3D artist. So why not combine them when you can? It's great. It's really depending on the shot you want. Okay, so that was all for virtual production, as in filming in real time with green, with LED, and how we push it and how we make it easier to capture assets and then play them back in Unreal. But something that's really changing things, especially for communication, for content creation, as in like corporate communication. And mocap is what we call mocaptory. So it's our new ways to do mocap, but with no suits. And it's making a big difference for everything that's communication, right? Because now you will see what it looks like. We just have 12 little cameras all around the space, and we can capture multiple people in real time. But you can interact, you can trigger that all in real time. You see we have the skeletons. It's as accurate as tracking the hands, for example. Makes a big difference because now you don't need to wear the suit anymore. If you're a CEO giving a keynote presentation, you're not going to wear a suit with balls to be tracked. So doing that is really making a difference. You'll see, pay attention to my colleague on the left. That's how quickly it is to get calibrated, literally 2-3 seconds. And then they can interact with each other. But not just with each other, they can also interact with objects. So these balls here, they are 3D objects in Unreal that we are rendering in real time with our plugin in Unreal and tracking, but my colleague can now interact with them in real time thanks to this mocap, because we know where he is and we can interact with the assets. So it's quite a simple example, but if we think further, like we can do a lot with that, right? I'm just going to finish. Maybe we do questions after, right? Yeah. Bit tight on time. But what's interesting now is that we come from, I mean, we've seen Gravity, how tricky it was to do all this stuff, and it was like a big film production. But now for even corporate communication, I mean, there's a lot of company here today who needs to communicate, and that's what is making the difference with technology. We can bring all this broadcast way of working within an office space and as easy to use as what you will use in an office space. Let's have an example. That's from something we will actually show at ISC in Barcelona next week, which is all about corporate communication. They're in front of a 3D scene, so we can have the cameras in any place we want very easily, but you can switch to a simpler scene. This scene is not even 3D, it's 2.5D, as in you have different plates and you have parallax, but it's good enough already for, let's say, corporate communication, because you get the message across. And if we do a breakdown of that, this is just plates like that, and that's what the LED looks like again. But when it's through the camera, you don't know, because you get the illusion that it's a big space, it's a big studio, it's a broadcast studio. But if they want to switch to a more complex scene, because with 2.5D, you will have some movement, as in like nice parallax, a bit of movement like that. But if you really want to have the camera you want, we can have a 3D scene, and then from that you can put the camera in the position you want, because we have the whole asset. And now if we throw in the mocap we talked about, it's really interesting because we can do mocap of presenters in real time without them need to wear the suit. So that's great because we do mocap, but even better because we can interact with them and they can interact with the graphics. So she's controlling this data from her hand movement. So we can start thinking about how we can use it to get pie charts or graphics. And it's really the next step to do communication with this type of technology. So that's our goal at Mo-Sys, is to really create technology for media technology. It's either for film, high-end films, broadcast, but corporate communication, keynotes. It's all about communicating with technology. So we really look forward to hearing about your projects, actually, because that's where it's interesting to solve challenges, and that's what we're all about. So here you go. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, get my email and everything, or I'll be around to chat, of course. Yeah, of course I can. I can be next to it if you want. But yeah, please reach out. It would be great. Because there's a lot of things we're developing that you don't even know about. And if you knew about it, you'd be like, oh yeah, we could use that for. So really a pleasure to be here, and thanks everyone for your attention. Thank you.